the biggest film of the week. I suppose it is.
It is, yeah.
And that's Bastille Day. We're going to hear from Idris Elba, Richard Madden, and the director, James Watkins, after this clip.
Walk up to me and steal my wallet.
I mean, it's ridiculous. I wouldn't have a guy come up to me in the street and ask me to steal his wallet. It doesn't work like that.
Just do it.
Okay. Well, I'd walk up to the guy, avoid eye contact, step to the side, look him in the eye, and then I'd be gone.
Still there.
But the money's gone. See, I took the wallet the first time, then put it back the second, only without the money. It's all about the distraction. You were too busy watching me to see what I was doing.
It's got a lot of action in it, but at the heart of it, there's some characters, people that you might care about, and there's a storyline that you kind of get engaged to as an audience. It's not just action for action's sake. There are some great films that have done that in the past, but I feel like this feels a little unique in the sense that it's kind of European, it's modern, and the backdrop, being Paris is so great to see on film.
When Michael first meets Briar, obviously, it's seeing him on the stairwell and being terrified of this mean-looking guy that's coming for him. And, we see the chase sequence, and then we go into the interrogation scene. And when I finally get caught, which is, actually a really, hopefully quite a disturbing scene, where you kind of see a side of this man that's terrifying and ruthless. But also I think Michael sees this kind of glimmer of a humanity in him that actually might believe my story. And so then they kind of end up setting off on a bit of a journey together because, Michael realises that even the police are out to kill him.
There are very few actors, I think, I look at people like Michael Fassbender, I look at Daniel Craig, look at Idris, they have the physicality, they have the physical presence, and the movie star presence, but they also have the real acting chops. They've got the weight, they've got what it is. It's very hard to quantify, and it's obviously a skill that they've nurtured, but it's also more innate than that. It's that sense of truth and the sense of being able to register thought in a really cinematic way and to read that. And with Idris, if I'm talking through a scene with him and I'm sort of saying this is the process of the scene and we're discussing it, it's just such a pleasure seeing him and just seeing. You can read the cogs turning in his head, in his eyes, in such a subtle way, such that you can dispense with so much sort of unnecessary dialogue. Because for me, cinema is about reading thought and interiority. He has that in spades.
Idris Elba, Richard Madden, and James Watkins talking about Bastille Day, a film that was supposed to come out, I think, whenever the sad Paris attack was.
Yeah.
So luckily it was moved, and now it's kind of a little less insensitive to have it right now. Bastille Day.
Yeah, I mean, it must be devastating, isn't it? Like you move a film's release date because of being insensitive.
I think what is more devastating is the actual attacks. I think.
I mean, obviously the Bataclan tragedy was horrible, but the fact that you've spent ages working on this, you can't release it for a while.
Reminds one of Wild Tales, doesn't it?
Yeah, back when the. What was it? Was it plane hijacking, wasn't it?
They didn't really move it, did they? Because they couldn't do anything about that.
No.
It was literally at the same time.
I think you're just got to take it in perspective that sometimes events happen that mirror fictional events, and you can't help it.
I think to move this was fair enough.
Yeah, it was fair enough. I understand.
And it has proved to be the one sort of major release of this week. So.
Yeah, of course. Well, yeah, but anyway, so Bastille Day is a film that takes place all around on the actual Bastille Day, which is the French national holiday, celebrating the France, and basically
general Frenchness.
General Frenchness, bonjour, bonsoir, it's oh la la baguettes, Frank Ribery.
Such sweeping generalisations.
Yes, I'm sorry, that was mildly racist. I apologise. But yeah, Bastille Day basically follows Richard Madden of Game of Thrones fame. He plays an American pickpocket called Michael Mason. I do want to say that this
Michael Mason.
That's his name. Yeah,
that's so lazy.
It's not great.
They don't really mention the names. It's
really.
Not about the names. It's not about the plot.
The numbers, Mason.
But it's directed by James Watkins, who directed a thriller called Eden Lake that I really want to see. It's supposedly a really underrated thriller with Bradley Cooper.
Right.
Which I want to see, and he did the original Woman in Black as well. So anyway, yeah, Michael Mason, his character, and yes, it's generic, but it doesn't matter. Yeah. I mean, he's an American pickpocket. He steals a bag one day off a girl who's grieving. Well, she looks like she's crying on the street. He thinks she's an easy target. Steals the bag, steals the contents of it. However, when he dumps the bag, a bomb goes off, and it turns out that she was basically a plant by a terrorist organisation to bomb an office, a government office, and the bombs now went off, and he has killed people. So he is basically at the centre of this. Idris Elba's CIA officer Sean Breyer has to apprehend Richard Madden and basically find out. Well, he discovers that he isn't behind all of it, and they together have to escape the clutches of the French and the clutches of the
clutches of the
terrorists. The clutches of the terrorists and the corrupt police force.
Yes.
And,
yes.
And the corrupt police force, and find out who the real terrorists are and put a stop to them before the Bastille Day events.
Bang bang.
Now, essentially, this is the biggest ever audition that Idris Elba has had for Bond.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, we thought Luther at times. I mean, especially the bar fight in the Luther specials or the Christmas period was the ultimate Bond scene for him so far. But
and this film's got the rooftop chases.
Is absolutely brutal. I mean, there's one scene in particular where they're in it screams pure-blooded Bond, where they're in a van where they're being picked up to a safety location, and sort of they're being escorted there, and they think it's safety, but however he notices sort of one of the terrorists sort of signifying tattoos on the wrist, so Idris Elba clocks on that these are bad guys, and then he proceeds to wipe out the entirety of them. And there's one shot in particular where he literally leaps up from the floor, shoots him at point blank, and then just drops back. And you could hear the theme in your head. How can this man not be cast at this point? But yeah, it's a relentlessly silly film. It's so over the top. It's almost unbearably brilliant in that aspect, because nothing has any internal logic to it. It's just, it's Richard Madden being a fish out of water, and Idris Elba just being the coolest cat in the entirety of Paris. And I wish they just let him keep his London accent, but it's an American. Got to be.
Yeah. Warning: no Americans were involved in the making of this process. All of the characters in this film who are Americans seem to be actually not American.
Yeah.
You've got Richard Madden, who's obviously, is he Irish?
Yeah.
From that clip he sounded Scottish, but I know he's Irish.
Yeah, he's Scottish Irish.
Obviously, Idris Elba's proper down South London.
Yeah.
And I apologise for that.
Yeah.
And Kelly Reilly. Did she do American accent in True Detective?
Yeah.
Well, she is British.
Yeah,
I've seen her in some ITV
dramas.
Well,
Kelly Reilly plays one of the other CIA agents that Idris Elba works with. She sort of helps them across. But Bastille Day is all set over one day before the actual Bastille Day events, and as such, it's a very sort of relentless chase between finding out who these terrorists are and clearing Richard Madden's name before any more further attacks happen, while there's a corrupt police force behind this, and as such, it's relentlessly heart-stopping. Idris Elba's just a fantastic presence. This is a proper Bond audition.
Oh, yeah.
I love the chemistry between the two of them, because Richard Madden's clearly tried to prove himself that he's got a place in the CIA, and Idris Elba just slaps him down every time he tries to do something.
The whole two street thing is just not. That's not even an argument anymore. He is the man for the part.
Yeah,
that's the most silly thing you'll ever hear. I mean, I'd like to see him in a suit first.
Yeah.
I haven't really seen him in a suit, have we?
Yeah.
So don't know what it look like, but in terms of kicking ass, he does. He really does.
I think Bastille Day for me works completely because it embraces the silliness. I mean, the soundtrack's ludicrously actiony over the top.
It finishes with Idris Elba rapping.
I love the erratic direction that it has. I mean, in particular, there's the fact that the terrorists actually near the end they actually use a hashtag in their plot.
See, this is the part I like. The fact that it tackles social media in a much better way than Friend Requested, a film that was actually entirely about social media. The idea behind it is these corrupt police try and stir up a frenzy online through hashtags and stuff, saying keep an eye online for the hashtags. That's what we'll do. It's attack the mosque, attack and it's that's interesting because it's sort of satirical and it looks at the way we use social media, and that does it far better than a film that's actually designed to be about social media, but it just was rubbish.
But it sort of muscles down that kind of Luc Besson style where it's just it's a proper old school balls to the wall thriller action, and just everything's just so ludicrously entertaining. You've got to embrace it, and obviously there are a lot of plot inconsistencies and moments where you're like, Kate, but then you realise that's Idris Elba. I can totally imagine him doing that.
That really is it.
And
I mean, all it was missing was the big coat.
Yeah, and it's ludicrous, and all the more for that because it totally works. And I will stand by it. The rooftop scene that you mentioned is really well made.
It is.
That's a really well made piece of action cinema, and I will
tense.
definitely recommend people to watch that on YouTube if you don't see this film. But I would recommend going to see this film because it is a rollickingly good time. It's really entertaining from start to finish. Richard Madden and Idris Elba work really well together, and it's the perfect audition for Bond if he hadn't already proven that he deserves to be Bond.
And there's got to be a sequel there, hasn't there?
Yeah.
I like the
Bastille Day.
I like the I like the duo. I like the dynamic. I think it works well because Idris Elba's kind of
work well.
Bad cop, good cop.
Bad cop, stupid cop.
Yeah.
I
like
badass cop, stupid cop.
Bad cop, alright cop.
Bad cop, dead cop.
It's only 90 minutes long. But the
Game of Thrones spoiler there. But.
The thing I would say is that I forgot about it straight away. But the 90 minutes that I was in that cinema, I was entertained. So I can't really complain with it that much. And I will recommend it. Yeah. It is a lot of fun.
The perfect piece of throwaway cinema.
We have mentioned Luther, and what an absolute badass he is. It seems only fair to play the theme from the show that has made him as famous as he is in Britain right now. Obviously, I mean, I know he was famous before Luther, but
is he sort of he's not really even B-list in America, is he? Idris Elba, yes.
Well, he's been in Marvel movies, been in. He's in Star Trek coming up.
Gatekeeper and Thor, isn't he? Yeah. Oh, well, fair enough. I mean,
he's massive, and he is the man.
He's the man.